If the government shuts down programs, it's going to affect a lot of people. We're not just talking about SNAP or welfare. We're talking about a wide range of programs that impact different aspects of society. Some of these programs include Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, unemployment benefits, food stamps, housing assistance, veterans benefits, education grants, student loans, child care assistance, foster care, adoption assistance, mental health services, substance abuse treatment, job training programs, small business loans, agricultural subsidies, disaster relief, national parks, transportation funding, highway construction, public transportation, airport funding, water infrastructure, transportation funding, highway construction, public transportation, airport funding, water infrastructure, sewage systems, waste management, public housing, section housing, homeless shelters, food banks, Meals on Wheels, senior nutrition programs, Head Start, special education, school lunches, school breakfast, adult education, workforce development, community development, block grants, housing rehabilitation, economic development initiatives, rural development programs, farm subsidies, crop insurance, renewable energy incentives, energy assistance, weatherization assistance, child nutrition programs, WIC, supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children. When these programs are shut down, it's not just the people who directly benefit from them who are affected. The ripple effects are felt throughout the economy. For example, medication prices will rise, impacting everyone, even those not on Medicare. Business owners will struggle as programs like Section 8 housing are cut, leading to revenue losses. Landlords might have to accept tenants that they can't get paid from, creating financial strain. Taxes will also be affected, with potential changes impacting everyone. Project 2025 is a policy initiative that outlines significant changes to government programs and policies. Some key aspects include reducing the size of the federal government, increasing private sector involvement in public services, and implementing stricter eligibility criteria for social programs. Notably, some key players associated with Project 2025 have been appointed to key positions in the administration, including Paul Dance, who led the project, and other prominent figures who have shaped its policies. The coincidence of these appointments and the current administration's policies resembling Project 2025's proposals raises questions about the initiative's influence. If the government doesn't adapt and support the community, it's clear they don't care about the people who put them in office. It's for the people, by the people, but it seems like they're giving two fucks about the community. If they don't change their approach, we need to rethink the system. With leaders who seem indifferent, we're in trouble. People are trying to determine others' futures, but their own futures are uncertain due to funding and livelihood issues. This is a huge problem. real understanding.
Yeah, wow. Talk about some continual original, originality and original music by the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima. And once again, you are tuned into the Lion's Den. The segment title, The Conversation Continues, talking about what's on your mind. We give honor to the Lord in Christ from whom all positive thoughts flow. And again, we're your hosts. I am Dark Storm, and again, we have the Lioness, the Seventh Answer, Lady Karima, at the helm, making sure that all things are operable, functional, as we go into this particular, how you say, conversation, which we hope you're going to enjoy. Now, of course, you know the machine that makes this whole operation run, the seven eyes, and that's intelligence, independence, inspiration, influence, independence, insight, information, which all bring about the sum of the facts. That's all we drop. That's facts. FACTS. That's frequently accurate, correct truths. That's what we're dedicated to doing. We're going to always do it. And you know, when you come rolling with the lions, you're rolling with the pride. Because you know, we always are permanently ready and destroying evil, starting with our own. No, Lady Karima and myself, we don't sit up here as Mr. and Mrs. Holier than Thou. We strive to be the moral man and moral woman that you all love and appreciate, that make this vehicle and make this particular engine in the name of the Lord and Christ go. We have our shortcomings, but we always what? Strive to be the diamond with a flaw as opposed to being a perfect pebble. Now, you may say, why is that, Brother Darkstorm? I'll tell you why. Because a diamond with a flaw, you can always chip away the flaw and bring it to perfection. Whereas that perfect pebble, though it's smooth and it looks good, as soon as you toss it in the air and you let it land, it shatters and becomes what? Exactly what it was. A fake perfect pebble. Let that sink into your spirit. And as we continue to move on, you know we're also one of the many factions of the anti-coon movement. And what's a coon? You know what a coon is. A complete, obvious, obedient, yes a boss nigga. We don't do that here, ever. Hold on. Yeah, no coonery, no buffoonery will be heard here on The Conversation Continues. And you want to know why? Because Lady Karima and myself, we can't be bought, and more importantly, we can't be sold. And this is also the home of point counterpoint. As you know, sometimes we may not always agree or see eye to eye. You know, out the 99, out the 100%, we may have that 1% where we may not see eye to eye, and we just have a point counterpoint, which is another way of saying debate. And it's a good thing, though. It keeps everybody honest, keeps everybody on their toes, and it's always done in love, because why? It's each one teach one, reach one. And of course, the Lion's Den, as you know, is the grand ultimate truthality social media experiment. So when you come on in and you try us, you're going to find out that from city to city and state to state, without no follow, bleep, bloops, or blunders, with Lady Karima at the helm of the Lion's Den, baby, all you're going to experience is miracles and wonders. Miracles and wonders. Okay? Because you're going to get hit with Virgo energy. Yeah, that's right. We're analytical, tactical, critical, political. But one thing we always strive to never be hypocritical. And of course, we again give our honor to the Lord in Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. Therefore, we come in the spirit of Isaiah, the book of the Bible, Isaiah, the 41st chapter, verses 21 through 24, which tells us that at all times we must produce our cause. And in producing our cause and talking points, bring forth our strong evidence, the facts, to support any and everything that we say and teach. And also we follow the book of the Bible, 1 Thessalonians, the 5th chapter, verse 21, which tells us we should always be ready, willing, and able to prove all things, bring everything to the table so that you out there in Lion's Den land can make the dissemination and use your discrimination and discernment to know that you're dealing with two powerful, liberated moderators in Karima and myself. All right? Now, of course, Lady Karima and I, we are very conscientious. All right? And by that I mean, we are always sympathetic and empathetic to those of you out there. If you have a severe allergic reaction to the facts, the truth, to reality, you have our deepest sympathies always. Because we're not going to compromise it for nobody. So you can skedaddle, you can leave, you can break out, you can get ghost. Any adjective and verb that describes you're not welcomed here, please just go ahead on and leave. Because my Negro and my Negress, let me assure you, you will not be missed. And last, but certainly not least, one of the house rules when you come into the Lion's Den, as set forth by our beautiful family member, I Am Manna. You wipe your feet, mind your manners, conduct yourself in an orderly manner, and enjoy yourself. Because if at any given time you get out of line and you become rude or disrespectful, oh, the seventh answer, she will swoop in and kick you up out of here real quick. I mean, break you down with the quickness, work you out like physical fitness, hit you with so many combinations not even Jehovah will witness. Okay? And all I'm going to do is stand back and go, because you was told, you was warned. Because see, if we are hospitable hosts, we expect you to be hospitable guest. It's just that simple. And now with all these formalities out the way, we're lined up on runway 3, Harmony, as we now take off. And we are tonight remembering my dear friend and a dear brother. We're going to start, and as a matter of fact, going forward, the seventh answer, we're going to start doing the series of remembering. So what better way than to kick off this series tonight? We're going to be remembering the one and only, the third answer, Brother James Mtume. Okay? Musical songwriter, Grammy Award winner, all those beautiful accolades, but the one thing that Brother Mtume always prided himself on being called simply a brother, a man that was for the people and down with the people. All right. And tonight we're just gonna go into talking about him. And of course this is where, because some of you always are asking, so we're gonna give you the face behind the legacy that now Lady Karima has been christened with, being the seventh answer. Because see, there's only one brother who could be the third answer, and that's James Mtume. But prior to him, you know, succumbing to, you know, cancer, and what will be, I now realize, our last talk, I had told him I would like to keep the answer aspect going. And, and it's cool, you know, that his cool voice, hey, brother, that's all right, Malachi. I tell you what, you come across somebody who you think is worthy of the title, then you give it to him. I said, but to him, only you could be the third answer. I got to give him another number. He said, okay, another number it is. All right. And as destiny would have it go down, I will wind up meeting and greeting JJ 7000, Mandinka Mally, and Sister Karima. And Karima, would be the force behind myself and JT Raw. All right, as we came here into the Lion's Den, and throughout the years, and it's crazy how fast time goes. But anyway, as time will go on, every time I look up, we needed anything we were lacking. Here come Karima. Boom, I got this. Boom, I got that. Boom, 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 boom. And then it was just, it's like I heard the third answer voice. Malachi, there she go. They go to answer. And henceforth, Lady Karima is called the seventh answer. And tonight we're going to remember my brother and my friend, the one and only James Mtume, and to his family and all those who loved him and knew him personally. As I did, I got to know him in the last 10 years of his life. And I said to them all, to all his family in particular, y'all still forever will have my condolences. We've been saying so many goodbyes, but I was honored to have had the pleasure of interviewing he and the voice of Mtume, Tawatha Agi, some years ago on a public access talk show that I used to do out of New York. They took a liking to me and they came through, sat with me, and it was just a beautiful experience to find, and for me, I can admit your boy was starstruck because it's when you grow up seeing someone and you're listening to them on the radio, and then their music is a part of your life as far as discovering love and relationships and so many other experiences, because it's, Brother Mtume has written for Stephanie Mills, Phyllis Hyman, so many who's who, and then the fact that he got his breakout start rocking out with Miles Davis, and then, to see these people and then to have someone who was close to them talk about them and tell you about them and his own story. It was just something, it was just so, it was beautiful. He was a down to earth celebrity, if you will. All right. And, tonight we're going to honor him. We're going to take you on an odyssey. For those of you who may not know who Brother James Mtume was, well, we're going to introduce you to him. All right. In case you might be a millennial or you came up, in this Gen Z. Well, we're going to introduce you to, one of our high power elders who was also an activist, and a social dragonfly and a champion for justice, because He also used to host a talk show on 98.7 Kiss FM out of New York City. And then it wound up going to WBLS 107.5 WBLS out of New York City. And the show was titled The Open Line. And you had Brother Bob Slade, the late Bob, wow, they all gone. The late Bob Slade, along with the late Judge Bob Pickett and Brother Mtume. He was the third answer, and he would come in and they would just tear it up, chop it up, talking about any and everything. All right, which was one of my inspirations to get my show off the ground. All right, at the time, and the rest of this is history. So what we're gonna do, in this first hour, so we're gonna remember James Mtume, and then we're gonna talk. We're gonna open up the conversation continues to some of you, our listeners. We're going to invite someone to come in here and vibe, click, and politic and talk about an issue that you find near and dear to you. Okay, as long as it's relevant and intelligent, all right, we're going to talk. But first, we're going to let's go down memory lane. Let me introduce you to, if you didn't know who he was in life, the one and only, Brother James Mtume. And we're going to get the first video up and running. I'll leave it up to, Sister Creamer and using her discretion, because I picked so many and put so many on that I didn't take time to write them all down. So we could just play them in an eclectic, that's a fancy word for, in a scrambled order. All right. And again, you're going to hear him and his, at different stages of his life, in his youth. We're gonna take you down his musical journey, his political and social journey. We're gonna listen to him talk, monologue, and you're also gonna hear different excerpts from the open line. And in the process of time, I'll introduce you to the memories of Brother Bob Slade and Judge Bob and Bob Pickett at a later date and time. So we'll leave it up to, since Sister Creamer is at the helm, we'll leave it up to her. She could pick any video and everything else, and we can get this party started. And again, we thank you for allowing us to come in your mind, soul, and cipher. And again, this is going to be the start of a series of never forgetting our elders, never forgetting, gone but not forgotten. Okay, or we'll simply title it Never to Be Forgotten. So we're going to get it started. And seventh answer, when you're ready, all right, take it away as you're, in the cockpit tonight and everything else. And again, like I said, we are remembering the memory of the third answer, Brother James Mtume. And we hope you enjoy. Like I said, we really hope you enjoy the show, as we're going to have a really good show, as the late Ed Sullivan would say. So, seventh answer, when you're ready, take it away.
My name is James Mtume, Grammy Award-winning, American Music Award-winning composer, producer, songwriter, and scorer of film and television. I've worked with so many great artists from different genres: Donny Hathaway, Roberta Flack, Stephanie Mills, Chaka Khan, Erykah Badu. But right now, I'm here with Sheffic on Invocation. The journey continues.
Ooh, I'm wishing, boy, I got my eyes on you. This mystery is thrilling. I'm not sure just what to do.
So it's
being in the studio with Mtume and being in the studio with Mtume and Lucas, because I could be in the studio with them alone, you know, and my parents back then rarely left me alone, but I could be in the studio with them and we could be creative, and I really enjoyed that time. And I was young, I was 17, 18, because I think at that time Michael and I were friends, and we were kind of sort of dating.
All right. Let me give a little backdrop for those of you who don't know. Yes, you're listening to the voice of the one and only, and one of my three.
You just know what to do.
Okay.
so it's been really a great honor.
A seventh answer. Allow me to give a little backdrop. Since we maybe have a little technical difficulty here and there. You know, this hurricane is kind of like chopping up these satellites out there, y'all. But let me just give you a backdrop. You're listening to one of three of my all-time favorite female vocalists, Stephanie Mills, of course. The second one being Tawatha Agee from Mtume, the voice of Mtume, and my third female vocalist, the one and only Angela Winbush, who was also a part of Mtume as well. Okay, and her and her husband made some fire joints, from back in the day. I'll Be Good. You talking about I Love the Dough. She just made so many hits, Angela Winbush. But Stephanie Mills was at the time 17 years old. She had just came off her successful run in the Broadway production of The Wiz because she got beat out, unfortunately, by Diana Ross, to do the movie version. I'm like, hold up. No slight to Diana Ross, but come on now. Dorothy was a 16, 17-year-old young woman, but here you got 33-year-old Diana Ross being Dorothy in The Wiz. There were a great many of us who were like, what? 33 years old? She was a million years old. Talking about she's some Dorothy. But anyway, getting back on subject matter though. But still, while on the movie set of The Wiz, Stephanie would come across Mr. Reggie Lucas, of course, who was the second force behind the writing team of, Mtume and Lucas. All right. And they would take her under their wing. All right. Especially Mtume in particular. And they launched her solo career, all right, with What You Gonna Do with My Lovin'. I Never Knew Love Like This Before. And one of my personal favorites, which we will feature here, Put Your Body in It. And the rest, as they say, is history. But now, as you just listening to the opening of what Stephanie said, that which was so powerful, here it was. Her parents knew they could trust her at that young, tender age to be around James Mtume, to be around Reggie Lucas. But I never got to know Mr. Lucas, so we're talking about and Brother Mtume. But look at that. And I can attest to the spirit that I met. Like any man has his shortcomings or whatever, but still, he was just true blue. All right? If he felt you were real and he liked you, he rolled with you. Here I was, up and coming, and I'm not looking to be no star. I wasn't looking to be a star then. I'm not looking to be a star now. But he got wind of me. He saw images of my show and what I did, and I'll come sit with you, young blood. You ain't got to pay me nothing. Okay? Now, check that out. So as we listen to Stephanie Mills give her memories on working with him, I just want you to just take into consideration the first thing she said out the gate. My parents trusted me to be in their company because they trusted them. And Mr. Mtume died without ever having his name be he and Mr. Lucas. But Mr. Mtume died never having his name dragged in any kind of scandal or any kind of foolishness. I want you to consider that. So run the video, Seventh Answer, run the video.
really enjoyed being in the studio with Mtume and Lucas because I could be in the studio with them alone, and my parents back then rarely left me alone, but I could be in the studio with them and we could be creative, and I really enjoyed that time. And I was young. I was 17, 18, because I think at that time Michael and I were friends, and we were kind of sort of dating.
Who the Michael?
Who the Michael is, I'm referring to.
I gotcha. You just mentioned something that's really important, which, of course, that at that time, working with Mtume and Lucas was a whole new world for you. Obviously, before that, as we all know, you were on Broadway, not only in The Wiz, but before that, Maggie Flynn, and then as had been recording for Motown. So I'm sure it was quite a different environment and a different feeling a feeling of freedom, I would imagine.
Yes, it was definitely a sense of freedom. I was like, oh, yes, I could be in the studio with the guys and not have, everybody around. So it was really, I felt like a grown-up that I was, growing up a little bit. So I enjoyed really being, and Mtume and Lucas, and they really took care of me. I really enjoyed being in the studio with them.
Okay.
Now, this song was the very first song that Mtume and he presented to me. And it was the hardest song for them to get me to record because I was like, I can't sing that. What you going to do with my love? And I can't sing that. So they really had to convince me to sing it, and they had to change some of the words. But
Really?
I really loved, and I love singing it till this day. I really loved recording it and being in the studio because the thing with Reggie and Mtume is that all our songs were done live with live band. Their band was in the studio, and I would be in a booth, so I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious because you mentioned, of course, about your parents. How did they react to the lyrics of the song? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what somebody's singing about.
Exactly, but I was the one who had the problem with it. My parents or my sister and my brothers didn't have a problem with it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was the one that was like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to say that. I don't want to say this or say that. But they would accommodate, they would change. And then as we matured, they were like, oh, we can't believe you want to sing this song. So it was the way it kind of evolved into, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this now. I want to sing this. So it was interesting.
I never known you love like this before. Open my eyes, 'cause I never known you love like this before. What a surprise.
Yeah, as we continue on, we are right now in the Never to be forgotten series. Our first inductee, the one and only, the third answer, Brother James Mtume. And we're continuing on, giving you bits and pieces and clips of his stellar career, his illustrious career, and those who he touched in so many different ways. We just heard a testimony by the beautiful Stephanie Mills. And who knew that she and Michael had a little thing going on? And you heard what she said about Michael. It kind of got clipped. She said, "Yeah, he's a Virgo." See, I told y'all, Virgo energy, baby, catch it. It is what it is. And Michael, ooh, now I do gotta say, for some Virgo, I won't speak for seventh answer, but I kind of been guilty of this. There's one thing about there's some for some Virgos, there's another name we got going on. Sneaky. Michael, he had a thing for all the women that could sing. Now, who knew that he and Stephanie, for 3 years, were living together, had a whole relationship going on before he would introduce her, before, he went his way, she went her way, and he wound up introducing her to her husband. Oh my God, I've got a brain free. The brother from Shalimar, who taught him how to dance, who was teaching Michael how to dance. And how could I forget? Not Howard Hewitt. What is the dark? How could I forget the dark skinned brother's name? Well, y'all know who I'm talking about. For all y'all who go back, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, my point is, I love the fact that Stephanie said, listen, in her growing up, coming of age, and everything else, she had problems with some of the mature content of the music, but that brother Mtume and Mr. Lucas, they worked with her, they talked with her, they listened to her, and they made adjustments and all that. See, that's what we talk about when we say each one teach one, reach one. This is talking about this is before you had all the snakes and predators come in and take over the industry the way they did in the process of time. This is what was going on. There was indeed a healthy environment, a loving environment, a coaching environment. All right. And up until his death, Brother Mtume was always saying he only worked with and wanted to touch people who he found to be true to themselves. Okay. I remember at the time when I had the pleasure of interviewing, he was starting to work with the now recently deceased D'Angelo. But let's continue on though. Let's continue on. We're talking about the life and times of the one and only James Mtume. Let's keep the energy going, and we hope you're enjoying thus far.
We're talking about the Grammy Award winner Mtume, who is Marion's in-studio guest this evening.
Thanks, Bill. And you are also a producer and a writer and the creator of Juicy Fruit, which went gold last year, right, Mtume?
Right, yes.
And also the title song, You, Me, and He is featured on your new video, which you wrote. And let's take a look at it, and then we'll come back and talk to you and about it.
I never thought it could happen to me. Then I knew, yeah, things had changed. 'Cause when we made love, his name, so much tension, 'cause we're living a lie.
Oh, boy. I have to say, we have to say that was Tawafa singing with you.
Yes.
Who are the other contributors?
In the band is Philip Fields on keyboards, Raymond Jackson on bass, who you saw in the video also.
You were telling me that you had an experience with Juicy Fruit, and you said, no, that's not going to happen with this one. You took control and you wrote this video.
Yes, I think that what's really important in terms of the dynamic that's happening with videos, which is obviously the wave of the future. Records, as we know, visual interpretation of the song. And I think it's real important that artists begin to be more involved with the writing of the script of the video. I mean, who knows better what you have in your mind when you're writing a song than the writer?
But Mtume, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can pull off something that looks that chic.
Then at that point, you need the help.
By that, you are a boxer, and at one time you wanted to be an Olympic swimming hope. Well, you were an Olympic swimming hopeful, but after college you hooked up with Ron Karinga. Explain those two diverse arenas to me.
Well, I think it was a question of progressive social change that was happening at that period. In high school, like I was a high school, I pursued that, and I think like the 70s period, it presented early 70s presented social change in both communities. Right? Athletics took a back seat to becoming more concerned with what was happening to me and what was happening to the world. Unfortunately, I think middle 70s to late 70s, we've been kind of apathetic, and our relationship to the world are coming back in the 80s. And I think it's going to start being reflected in the music.
That's good to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 1990 when you came from California to New Jersey, and you hooked up with McCoy Tyner, and you also worked with Joe Henderson, Freddie Hubbard, and you were Miles Davis's percussionist. I guess that's good background to hone your craft.
Well, yeah, well, people ask me, well, where did you go to school to study? I said, MD University. I mean, Miles Davis, for me, that was PhD work. And coming through that situation, after leaving, I decided that I wanted to pursue production and writing. The first opportunity I had was with Roberta Flack, and we did something called the to You, and the host. Fortunate.
Now, when you decided to break out on your
go, what's important is taking the first step. How many more after that, the people will be. But you got to be real clear and convinced that you have the quality to do what you want to do.
Your next sounds of sophisticated
Well, it's going to be called Theater of the Mind. And there's going to be a song coming out of that called New Face Deli, which deals with cosmetic surgery, which I call cosmetic perjury. And we're going to be talking about the fact that nowadays you can almost have any kind of face you want. It's almost like walking into a delicatessen. Give me 2 nose jobs with lettuce and tomatoes, you know, hold the mail. So we're going to do like a little social commentary. It's kind of humorous about cosmetic.
I think that's fantastic. You can see the living color at the beginning. And you can listen to these sounds on the album Epic label, is it
Yes.
not? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come back to see us.
Anytime.
Back to you, Bill.
Did you hear that? You see, long before, this BBL takeover and all this makeover and takeover, this Third Answer and so many others in the era of the 80s, they did so much to try to offset that. See, he knew all about the attack on Black people as well. The brother was heavy. He understood what was happening. COINTELPRO, all of that, because he came up in that era. He ran with certain people that are now dead and gone, right along with him. Okay, he understood the politics that went on, even with Don Cornelius, and he talked about that to me. About what Don Cornelius and so many others experienced in that time frame, trying to launch Soul Train, Black imagery and all that. Yeah, but he was talking about, as you can see, before that the wave of plastic surgery and BBLs and the poisoning of our women's minds into thinking that they got to go looking like white women. Yeah, they were trying to head that off way back when. See, this is why it's always important, as the Bible says, as the Most High said in the book of Deuteronomy 32:8, to remember the days of old and consider the years of many generations. Translation put today, don't forget the past. Remember the history. Don't ever forget history. Because when you forget it, you're doomed to repeat it. Okay? So yeah, way back in the 1980s, the movement and the wave of trying to get people off the Jerry Curl juice, the soul glow, that was going on back then, way back when. Okay, unfortunately, along the way, the message got lost in translation, as there were a great many people who sold out and all that good stuff. But you know how that go. But anyway, let's keep the energy going. We're talking about the one and only, the third answer, James Mtume. And as you can see, he spoke about taking steps, being real with yourself, knowing your place, knowing when to be ready, not looking to compete with anyone else. Find your name, find your niche, and have it work for you. And this is what I model myself after. Okay? No, I'm not behind some desk, and I'm not, millions and trillions of dollars paid. But I do this. I've been doing public access, and now here I am, honored and privileged to be here on the Lion's Den, on the social media network, doing what I do. Okay, and the payment is just being respected, being able to look myself in the mirror, being able to know that I don't have anybody breathing down my back, and also, most notably, I know that there's no one that can point the finger at me and try to expose me or embarrass me in any way, shape, or form, because I've always been true to myself and all that. So we're going to continue on. Like I said, when I sent, y'all work with me, because when I sent these clips and everything to the seventh answer, I was all over the place emotionally, because sometimes I still have to struggle not to cry, because like I said, the brother was just, like one of the many father figures in my life, besides my dad, who was, who came up in this generation and was here, there, and everywhere, but still a real one in the end. So we're going to continue to talk about Brother James Mtume and his different stages and different incarnations. This is when he was starting to get sick. But anyway, run the video, seventh answer.
Wow. I just got through watching when you was playing with Miles.
See, you going deep now. See, a lot of people don't know that part. Look here, brother.
On the congas.
Look here, brother. You talking about, a lot of people say, well, where'd you learn? I mean, where'd you? I said, I went to one university. Wow. It's called MD University, Miles Davis.
Is that right?
Stood next to that brother every night for 5 years. I mean, that was the most education, man, I could have ever gotten. You can imagine.
Right. Well, we can't imagine. You can't imagine that.
But see, brother, since you went to the jazz thing, see, I said, okay, this brother knows.
I got your album with the unk on it. It's
Oh,
black.
Al Cable Line?
Come on.
Look here.
Come on, brother.
Tell you something. One of the things that's most fascinating for me. You understand, as a kid, 8, 9 years old, 10, he's so, as I was saying, one of the things you just dropped, my jazz part, most people associate
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all bear with us, with the technical difficulty. But like I said, the storm system, is really, jamming up, the satellites and everything else. I mean, I noticed there are other social media outlets having, certain, you know, problems as well. But tonight, if you're tuning in, we are remembering the third answer, the one and only James Mtume. For all y'all out there who've been forever asking, why I call Lady Karima the seventh answer. Now you know why, as she's the heir apparent to Brother Mtume. She's the seventh, whereas he was the third. Okay, and you know, after tonight, I hope that this will inspire some of you to go looking and delving into all the video archives that are out there concerning Brother James Mtume. You can get to know him on a personal basis posthumously. I got to meet him and know him in the last 10 years of his life, and it was a beautiful experience. You know, he gave me, and he talked about Miles Davis University. He gave me my James Mtume University. Okay, as he was one of the many, like I said, father figures that gave me, how you say, the many life scholarships. And the one thing he said about me that really touched my heart, he said, Brother Malachi, in the time that I've been knowing you, I've gotten to know you. Your gift to the world, he says, your dedication. He says, here it is. And like most young folks, they'll be out here trying to get $1 any way they can get it. He said, you stand on a divine principle. You strive and do right. He said, I also pick up on the fact that here it is, right? You are up here talking about people, places, and things that I actually grew up, knew, listened. He said, but at the same time, it shows me that my struggle and what I went through, you appreciated it. He said, he said, so in essence, I'm basically passing the baton off to you, and I hope you could take it a whole lot further. He said, but you also got the gift of gab where you make things so simple when you speak. A 3 or 4-year-old can understand what you're saying because you follow Malcolm X's mantra. Make it plain. And that touched my heart. And yeah, it's imperative that we don't forget our history. We don't forget our pioneers and those who laid their lives and their careers down. All right. And just to hear, him tell stories about, again, people that I grew up, we all grew up watching, some of who died tragically, such as Donny Hathaway, You know, there were certain revelations he gave me. I'm not at liberty to talk about them, but you know, still to hear the truth and learn certain things, it lets you know just how fragile life is and how important making sure your mental health, who you keep company with, all right, that all money ain't good money in your pursuits to get it, to beware of all the vampires, werewolves, and zombies and other flesh eaters that are looking to use you and you wind up losing yourself. That was something that he was very, very strong, a strong advocate about. Don't ever lose yourself. And so, you know, unfortunately, we're having technical difficulties where we really can't enjoy the clips like I want you all to. But, you know, what we're hoping as the Seventh Answer's working on them, again, I hope that you are, thus far, 1 hour in, enjoying. As we introduce, for some of you, we're introducing him to you on a more intimate level because you may be you've known him about through his music videos and ventures, but now you're getting to know the intrinsic and absolutely powerful voice and thoughtful brother and friend, James Mtume. Okay? And as we move on, like I said, we're gonna be in the next hour or so, we're gonna open up the airways. I'm gonna invite you all with the seventh answer permission. We're gonna invite you all if you want to come in and talk about what's on your mind. All right, we're gonna do that tonight. And if not, well, there's a whole lot we're gonna talk about after we finish remembering James Mtume. Okay, let me see. And again, we thank you for allowing us to come into your homes, and we hope that this is insightful to you as you learn, you know, about, you know, a pioneer who, as you know, you're the notorious B.I.G., once known in life as Christopher Wallace, sample, you know, one of his biggest hits, Juicy. And you know the song. It's all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. All right. And again, as you see, you've heard the testimony of Stephanie Mills, and you've heard James Mtume himself. As we can continue on, again, we hope that we can get these technical difficulties out the way, or we can get some clips that we have on store to play. Because again, I want to introduce you to a beautiful friend and beautiful brother, all right, who, again, he was out there in the struggle on the low alongside certain deceased members of the Black Panther Party. That's right. Huey Newton, no, they were known. He knew these people, all right? While traveling with Miles Davis, he got to meet, greet, and know some of these people, all right? Roberta, like I said, Roberta Flack, she was a heavy activist herself who took care of some of the Black Panther chapters with her own money. Shaka Khan, yeah, that's right. See, the celebrities of yesterday, they weren't as strong and as out there as Muhammad Ali, but they still followed his path and how he gave it up. All right. And Third Answer took care of a lot of people, man. He put on a lot of people, wrote musical scores for New York Undercover, the 1986 version of Fences, and so many other musical projects and social activities that he lent the weight of his statesmanship to. One particular project that touched my heart was when he, along with the late Judge Bob Pickett, again, who I'll introduce you to at a later date and time, again, when they put money together and sent, some underprivileged children, some of whom had illnesses that were terminal, on a nice, beautiful day at an amusement park, and they hear the children thanking them, and that was who James Mtume was. It wasn't about walking around with the attitude, I'm a star, you want my autograph, my autograph, champagne, caviar, bubble bath. Nah. He was a down-to-earth brother. And he talked about what was real and and like Michael Jackson, what made the Third Answer so special. He was that dude that could fit in anywhere he went. He could talk to almost anybody about anything. He was that parent that could still, you could still vibe, click, and politic with, as if we were peoples, but you knew there was a boundary. But he, even prior to his death, he was already talking to young millennials coming of age, wanting to get at him, holler at him. When he came to the studio to film with me on a show I used to do, the reception that we got afterwards was just so amazing. And that's the kind of spirit Brother Mtume was. You just liked him. Now, there is one video that you'll never see the light of day ever. And I was looking for it. And this is when he went on the now defunct show, Hannity and Combs, and he debated Sean Hannity. No. Let me take that back. He didn't debate Sean Hannity. He wrecked Sean Hannity. Oh my God. That's one of those episodes you'll never see. I went looking, but when I say the brother knew his stuff and he was not just some surface activist, a celebrity pretending to be an activist. No, he was an activist who was a celebrity. Okay? And man, he destroyed Sean Hannity. Oh, you best believe that Rush Limbaugh and all them other bigoted racists who talked all that trash about black folks ain't want no parts of James Mtume. They ain't want that. Now they ain't want that Mtume at all. He destroyed them. And I wish I'd have been able to get that particular clip so you could really, really see how the brother got down when it came to the issues. Now, the only thing that he and I, we did bump heads on, he did think your boy here was a little too hard on, Barack Obama and a few other people of that time, and some people that he came up with, and knew on a personal level, Jesse Side Action Jackson and so on. But I told him, look, it's like this, third answer. This is the world I've inherited. So therefore, when I go back and I do my research and do my fact finding and everything else, and this is what I uncover. I'm just not, it's just certain people I'm not gonna spare, I'm not gonna have no mercy on, because they when, like the old adage go, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. He said, okay, young blood, all right. Me and you, I'll call a truce. I'll call a truce. But your point is taken. I'm gonna let you have that. Yeah, we had our moment where we did bump heads on certain issues, but it was all in love. And again, you learn to be. He also taught me, don't be too hard, all right, while not being too soft. So what's going on, Seventh Dance? We can't get the videos to play, or is there a problem? Where are you getting some kind of flag or something? Because I really want to, because if that is the case, and like I said, we could do this another time. But my whole take off and our whole take off on this presentation tonight, we want you all out there to do your homework and get to know some of your elders, okay? We're going to feature them here going forward, maybe like on a, every 3 months, quarterly basis, we'll come through and we'll talk about that man or woman of history who made us who we are, who put their life, their career, on the line. And tonight, James Mtume is that brother we're talking about tonight. So, as I said, I had a number of videos. They were in no specific order, but we've been trying to run them. But unfortunately, with this Hurricane Melissa, then you got this freaking hail, this series of hailstorms going throughout Oklahoma City and a number of other areas throughout the Americas. And again, this storm system, everything is out of whack now. All right, so we hope that thus far, for those of you just tuning in and have been listening, we hope that you've been enjoying this presentation. We're going to continue on, and like I said, we're going to invite some of you out there. If you have something that's relevant and intelligent, you want to come in, talk about it, sit with us, vibe, click, politic. We're going to do that tonight. That's why it's called Remembering James Mtume, and then, hey, let's talk. But if not, like I said, there's a whole heap of things we're going to talk about after the fact. All right, and since we're now, pretty much apparently having some technical difficulties, what I'll do is I'm going to, and if we can come back to talking about James Mtume, I'll switch off for a hot minute. And this is where being extemporaneous and being able to be spontaneous is important. All right. But now I want you all to be careful, be prepared. We don't know what these next couple of days are going to entail, as we're now coming up on the end of this month, and then we're going to be going into November. And as you know, we covered the whole issue, the nightmare issue of a great many people who may not be receiving their SNAP benefits and EBT and everything else because of this horrendous government shutdown. All right, if third answer were here, oh, I know he'd be having a field day with this, but we're gonna do it for you. What we'll do is we'll come back at another time, if at another day and time, and talk about James Mtume a little bit further and everything else and give you more clips. But we're gonna continue on. And if you want to come in and join the conversation, sit with us, holler at myself and the seventh answer. You're more than welcome to do so. Just drop the link for him, seventh answer, as we continue on. But yeah, man, this administration that we got going on right now, this monstrous administration that we have going on, look, man, something has got to give. All right? I see, but I'm hoping that a great many people can remain cool, calm, and collected and don't give in to their baser instincts, which I believe certain segments of this government wants to be done. Because again, the way I look at it, this government shutdown and the firing of all these different workers, this Project 2025 and this whole Hitlerian Adolf Hitler, Das Wunderkind, that we are no longer in we never were in the land of the free and the home of the brave. But now more than ever, we are definitely going into something that is absolutely devious and demonic. Because you can't call it nothing but devious and demonic when you want to deliberately and maliciously cut people off from what they need. And then you have all this propaganda. Oh, I'm glad he's cutting the welfare and the benefits. I'm glad. This shows you just how evil people are and how propaganda works if you don't have media outlets like the Lion's Den to put you up on game. See, we want to kill this whole notion about, well, he needs to change the system because there are a lot of people getting over on EBT and welfare and blah, blah, blah. No. The biggest welfare recipients, the biggest welfare kings and queens, all these congressmen, senators, and legislators who take our money, our hard-earned money, and give it to foreign nations. See, who's the biggest welfare king right about now but Donald Trump and company? As we're going to keep reminding you, we just watched them take $40 billion of our money. We, the people who've had our money extorted from us through legalized taxation, although that's an oxymoron, what I just said, we just watched them give Argentina $40 billion to bail them out, to bail out the select citizenry, the president of Argentina and all, whoever he got going on his crony list, as he is Donald Trump's boy. They just got a whopping $40 billion welfare bailout. Not to mention the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, here it was while Joe Biden was the president, he got $2 billion plus from the U.S., then an additional $3 billion, that's $5 billion. And since Trump been in office, do you know, I didn't know this. I'm still looking into it. It's rumored, I'm going to use the word rumored, that Trump on the low done slid this man, that's Zelensky, out of Ukraine on the low, $9 billion. Now, if that's true, in also, so that's $49 billion. The United States government, those who's supposed to be serving the people, have ripped off from we the people, and they gonna tell all of us who worked hard, retired on disability, SSI, and so on, SNAP benefits. Well, we're changing the system, and you guys, or there's some of you out there, we're gonna change the program directives and everything. Man, this is why I'm so afraid. There are gonna be a lot of people who are gonna break fool. And this is what they want. I think there are renegade, rogue elements of this government who are clearly treasonous. Because make no mistakes, and I make no qualms here in saying that what they did is an act of goddamn treason. And then here it is, a story just broke that it just come to find out they have on reserve, it's rumored $6 billion that they could disperse to cover the 42 million people who are on SNAP and EBT and whatever, and they don't want to. Now the operative words being they don't want to. Who's they? The same people that's telling you that you can't get Medicaid. The same people that's up here caught up potentially in this Jeffrey Epstein files and all that. So here these people are getting their paychecks. You have certain avenues of Congress. They're getting their money. They're getting paid. They're getting their welfare. They're getting their EBT benefits on the low. That's right. You think they're not defrauding the system? You better think again. But they're getting their money, and they telling we the people out here, the poor people, those of us who put into the system, worked. Some of us are now disabled. Some of us are now going through hard times. And they're telling us, no, there ain't no money for us. And I know it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. All right? Ain't no damn food bank. None of us should have to be worrying about going to a freaking food bank. Give us our money. Okay? Get out of here with this propaganda about, oh, there are those out there defrauding the system. You watching the president of these United States give $40 billion. $40 billion to the president of Argentina. I keep saying Tenia. Argentina, Tenia, whatever. That's defrauding the system, don't you think? Giving a rumored $9 billion to Ukraine. Isn't that defrauding the system? Firing hundreds of thousands of workers. And now we're talking also now a prospective 60,000 or more, 600,000 jobs are going to be lost by way of AI and automation. Isn't that defrauding the system? So like I said, I'm hoping that there'll be those that maybe they might blink, maybe they might just really come up off the money and this and offset it by biblical prophecy. says that you're going to have these demons now walking with earthly feet reveal themselves, and you can't get no more demonic, and you can't get no more psychotic, cutting people off of what's due them. Now, I don't care at this point about entitled and whatever else, man. Watching you give $40 billion away is much more important to me than someone getting a couple of $100 or $1,000, a couple of $1,000 in food benefits. We just watched $40 billion get splurged in our faces amid this shutdown by people who are firing everybody else, or they have workers who are on furlough, working without getting paid, but they're getting paid. That's the point. That is like astounding arrogance and grounds for some serious attempts to get for people to want to put their hands and feet on you, because you're now deliberately, apparently, messing with people's well-being, and you're doing it because you think you can. You're doing it because you think you're God. See, clearly, we have some people at the helm, and it has been that way for a long time, far too long, who really think they God. Here it is, they cut Medicaid, telling people that, listen, okay, well, we think that you're getting too much a month, so you don't deserve the Medicaid. We don't want to pay for your operation. We don't want to pay for this, that, and the third. You're just going to cough up a co-payment. And come on now, there are those of us out here, we can't afford to pay $75 a visit. Or if you're going to see a specialist, your copay is $267. What? That is not. How do you expect someone to pay that? Because you think that they telling of some of us who get a few thousand, a month in SSI and SSD or whatever. Yeah, we make too much to qualify for Medicaid. But I see. Oh, so you cut off hundreds of millions of people out here off Medicaid and rerouted that money to give to your boy in Argentina, 40 billion. Oh yeah, and your boy in Ukraine. Then, oh yeah, of course, Israel has to get their annual 3.9 or 4. Just I'll round it off at 4 billion annually, and whoever else you're paying on the low. But now here it is, we the people who paid in, those of us who paid into the system. See, because the thing is, when you look at this cutoff, and they love using that, well, there are a lot of welfare kings and queens, and they're those defrauding the system. But wait a minute, hold up. You're shutting down everybody. So make it make sense. If you really want to go after someone who you think is defrauding, that's when you take time out to do audits. And it may be time consuming, but it can be done. But wait, you firing the workers who specialize in doing that. So are you really concerned about the individuals who have been exploiting and defrauding EBT and SNAP and Section 8 and so on and so forth? Is that what you're really concerned with? Or are you just being mean, malicious, demonic skunks because now you want to bring in your marching orders, your Heil Hitler, Das Wunderkind, Mark of the Beast, reset system? Because the Bible did say there will come a time where there will be perils that have never been seen in the earth before. That we were going to enter a time in this mystery Babylon, which we now know to be America. That mark of the beast. There'll be those you won't be able to buy, you won't be able to sell, you won't be able to do anything unless you have this mark of the beast. So I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that I don't see that that's what's happening. I ain't got to give you no fire and brimstone sermon. Not at all. But anyone with good sense, you should know that what we're looking at, man, is some straight up highfalutin treason. And I'm going to have to be, and of course, we here on the conversation continues. Yes, our mantra is always freedom of speech, but responsible speech. We have to be very careful what we say here. And I'll say without a doubt, though, that I and those here on the Lions Den, we do not advocate, we're not calling for any seditious behavior whatsoever. We don't have no ways or feelings about what is transpiring in this government and in this system, but we do have the right to exercise responsible conversation and give our divine and God-given prognostication and predictions on what may indeed will transpire in these upcoming days. Look, man, ain't nobody gonna want to be standing on no goddamn line waiting on a food pantry to give them maybe 16 items or a couple bags of food that will only last no more than about a week. When here it is, their money that could be on their cards has been deliberately hijacked. Call it what it is, y'all. Hijacked by some freaking damn highway freaking robbers and oligarchs with a God complex. And they think that whatever they got going on from a militaristic standpoint or whatever they got planned is going to work. No, it's not. It isn't. But these are the times for all of us Bible believers. We were told it was going to be like this, and I'll speak for myself on this and this alone. I'm to the point now I'd rather die. I'm not trying to save up, hoard up. No, just let me goddamn die. Then live like this, man. And when it comes down to the Great Spirit, the Lord God Almighty, if that is my destiny, then that's what it's going to be. Because my dignity as a man, look, I've had enough. I've been busting my ass all my life, working hard, and all we continue to experience in this society are a bunch of thieves, clearly on the low, perverts and freaks and kooks of every kind, continuing to rip us off, and all we've been doing is taking it. But now I clearly see, and I'm sure those of you who are listening to this broadcast right now, if you don't want to come in and talk to it, that's fine. If you want and you reserve to listen, well, we got a lot more to talk. We got plenty to talk about. As you've been listening to the past broadcasts and shows that we've been giving you, we see the tension. We see what's going on. And it's not a joke. It's not a game. And I'm going to tell you, people are not going to want to stand out in these damn lines. When here it is, they don't watch you give $40 billion, $9 billion, a rumored $9 billion to Ukraine, $4 billion overall on an annual basis to Israel. And then we now find out it's a rumored $6 billion that is in surplus that could be given and used to accommodate the 42 million plus those who are on disability and whatever you can get. And there's segments of this government while in this shutdown getting paid, and they're going to be able to go and feed their family that are saying, well, because we Republicans and Democrats, we have not reached an impasse nor an agreement. You guys are just going to starve until we figure out what we're going to do. That's going to be a problem. That is going to be a very serious problem. And I can tell you right now, the seventh answer, she'll tell you right now, oh, we getting ready to go into some major lockdowns, y'all. You better believe we getting ready to see some major lockdowns. We getting ready to see some serious action out here in these streets. We getting ready to see some major war, okay, on these streets. We've been seeing it building for a long time. But now when you're telling people out here, some of us who've been honorable, that we got to get punished with those who you think are the fraud in the system. But your punk ass just gave $40 billion to, and I don't mean to get raw with it, but look, I'm not interested in being politically correct right about now. Giving people who didn't put into the system. It's bad enough we had to go through 4 years of the Biden administration, the Democrats giving trillions of dollars to these illegal immigrants and aliens coming from Ukraine, more so than just the Spanish-speaking nations, but Ukraine, who's still getting paid. All right, it's bad enough we had to watch all that go on where they tried to replace the black folks and the black vote, and that blew up in their faces. And now we got to deal with this? No. I'm just going to say, look, in the immortal words of Mike Tyson, people are going to come out here with bad intentions. And I want you all who are listening to this broadcast to please be careful. If you do your shopping and everything else, man, just be careful. You know, unfortunately now, if you do have your money, well, you can go into the shop, into supermarkets and buy your food. Now you got to look over your shoulder. You got to be very selective about when you go or where you shop, because it's coming. Look, you've seen movie, for those of us who go back this far, or if you've never seen the movie, you can probably watch them while when you finish this broadcast listening to it. We going into Mad Max, the Road Warrior. We're going into that auntie, the Thunderdome. And those movies with Mel Gibson dealt with people fighting over and housing and robbing for gas and food. So those of you who, if you do get your money, some kind of money or resource or what have you, you got to be very careful when you do your shopping now. And that's not a comfortable feeling and a comfortable notion. But it takes me back to the 2007 Dark Knight movie, where Heath Ledger's terrifying incarnation of the Joker says to Batman, if you put these people in a dire crisis or some kind of situation, these same civilized people will turn around and start eating each other. And with the way things are shaping up, man, look, I'm gonna say this. I'm just gonna say, when you out here and you out and about, pray, stay prayed up, keep a low profile, and don't let nobody know what you have going on. Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, man, hey, there are some people who can flip on a dime on you. You done heard about it. We done read stories. You've seen it before. And so, as we embark upon the days, that the perilous times that the Lord did say was going to be in effect, and even all you non-Bible believers, I know some of you are blowing the dust off your Bible now. I know when you tuning in, listening extra intent now. But all we can do here is talk about and reveal and expose the who, what, where, why, and when. But how the Lord did say that when his judgment came down, these demons weren't going to go out without fighting. And so here we are. And so as you're tuning into the Lion's Den, the conversation continues. We thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. We're your host, the one and only, the seventh answer, Lady Karima, along with our brother Dark Storm. We want you to understand that everything that we say here ain't nothing but the stone cold facts, frequently accurate, correct truths, and we stand on the one true God, who his name is Yahweh. And oh yeah, for all you government intelligentsia agencies who are listening to this show, because we know that you're listening, we know that you monitor us, dig, understand that the God of Israel, because we are the true children of Israel, we are the Hebrew Israelites. The God of Israel, Yahweh, he wants myself, along with the seventh answer, to let you all know it's time for you all to let us go so that we may serve him. And if you don't want to let us go, if you refuse to let us go, and we know you're going to harden your hearts, it is what it is. Well, this is a message from on high. He not coming to play. He not coming to beg. He gonna come with the intent of taking his foot and breaking it so far off in y'all narrow, arrogant, demonic, satanic behinds that you're gonna do sandal or vomit sandal or whatever they wear in that particular dimension of time and space. That's what it's coming to. He gonna match your energy. Since you don't want to rule justly, you don't want to do what's right, you want to bring heat, then damn it, bring it. Bring it. We can't stop you. We can't. And as the late great Marvin Gaye said so many years ago on his 1971 classic album, What's Going On? Who can save a world that's destined to die? No one can. No one can. And so this is where we're at. Now there may be some of you who may come through, oh, they're always talking about doom and gloom. And are you, to anyone who would talk like that, our question would be, are you looking around at what's going on around you? Now I know there be some people who always talk about, well, it's only how you think, you must think positive and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Well, I won't speak for the seventh answer on this one, but I'm going to tell you, I do think positively. And I positively think that we have some Heil Hitler, Nazi skunks who have made their determination that they're going to do whatever it takes to keep their rulership in this earth, albeit it is not theirs. All these things that are being done, Project 2025, before there was Project 2025, which the seventh answer took time out to take us over some of the more intrinsic and directly happening events right now. I told you all about Das Wunderkind. And so here we are. You see these dudes throwing up all kinds of Nazi hand insignia and everything. And every move they made, Adolf Hitler made. But before there was Adolf Hitler, you had Pontius Pilate, you had the varying Caesars, Augustus, and so many others who made these same moves in the ancient world to try to subdue and bring people into submission before the God of Israel came through and wiped them out. Whether you believe in God or not, that's your business. But we see clear, for all of us with our Bible antennas on, we clearly see, or you better clearly see, that biblical prophecy is continuing to unravel non-stop. On all our other previous episodes, which I know some of you are still watching, or if you haven't, well, the time is for you to get up off your duff and start checking them out. And the other voices that are out here, people are feeling it out here. Okay, the Lord is bringing wrath down on Oklahoma. He been hitting Oklahoma hard. But let me give you a quick backdrop. Don't forget that Oklahoma was one of the many places where black townships, black progress, business or otherwise, was preempted and destroyed. You know, Black Wall Street. Don't forget that the living descendants or those who directly were in that whole Black Wall Street issue were turned down for reparations a few years back. No, 3 years ago by this corrupt ass judge. And Oklahoma's been getting hit ever since. They getting all kind of hailstorms. Then you got Hurricane Melissa ripping up the Caribbean. And that storm system is also wreaking havoc in my neck of the woods. Like I said, in these upcoming days, we about to see something. And like I said, all you that do whatever if you have money or resources, your best bet, don't talk too tough these days. Keep quiet. If you're gonna do your shopping, be selective about when you go or where you go. All right? Because when people are desperate, they're capable of anything. And all these food banks, like I said, the food banks and food pantries, you're gonna have look, if you have the patience and you can go out there and stand out there, good, more power to you. More power to you. But I got a bad feeling about that. These food pantries, like I said, they don't hardly ever give you that much stuff. You know, maybe a couple of bags of, grain, rice, whatever, what have you. But no more than about 20 items, and then some of them, they don't even give you whole bags of fruit. They'll open a bag of fruit and give you 2 apples. No, people are not going to want to, they're not going to want to deal with that. And that's why I know, and that's why, I won't say I know, that's why I feel so strongly that this particular government now wants a reaction from the people so they can declare martial law, therefore making Donald Trump, since it's already been in the news anyways, already in the news about him talking about a 3rd term and all. We see where this is going. We see where it's going. A dictatorship, an imperialist dictatorship, authoritarianism, whatever. You have some freaking grown, stinking men and women who now, to spell it out for you, they want to be God on earth. So, think about it. If they can make the determination who eats and who don't, let's just go all the way with it. We're going to decide who lives and who dies. Yeah, that's right. Look, like the third answer James and Mtume said, I have a way of spelling things out and breaking things down that a 3 or 4-year-old can understand. This is our gift to you all out there. This is what these skunks are engineering themselves to be. They think they're gonna be God on earth. And if you don't want to roll with the program, or you don't want to do how Beanie Siegel said, you either gonna get down or lay down. If you don't want to be state property, well, okay. They think they got their gangster clique and crew and their methods of making you submit and get and whatnot. All right. They're gonna eradicate you. You're gonna be moved out the way. See, movies like The Kingsman, some of us we tell, if you remember on a broadcast that we did some years ago, titled "The Corruption is Real," we, if you remember, there was a discussion that I brought out The Kingsman, and I was talking about how Samuel Jackson was obviously Bill Gates. But if you remember in that movie, he was this diabolical researcher and he had all these different people on his team. But the catch was, if you work for him, he put a chip in your system and everything else. And if you rebelled against him with one push of a button, your head will blow your head off. All right, you'd be blown up, killed. If you rebel and got a conscience. All right. And now here we are in a system right now where practically everything that we got going on now is courtesy of Bill Gates and company. The orange man is the figurehead for now. But again, in the Kingsman, Samuel L. Jackson's character was so ruthless. He had control of agriculture and nuclear warheads and all kinds of other nifty goodies, because he was all about what? World domination, world domination. And now look at what we got going on. First we had this virus, and then we had, the whole serum. I won't go to the serum to help you fight it off. Okay, and don't forget how they forced a great many people to take that crap. And there's been a whole lot of fallout, literally fallout, ever since, of people who took it. All right, people that we know and love. I know people on a personal basis here in my neck of the woods. A lot of people have been just dropping dead from heart attacks left, right, and center. But hey, I'm not saying I don't want to be accused of misinformation or disinformation and all other bull. But I mean, that's a hell of a coincidence. All right. A lot of people that I know on a personal level are suddenly coming down with a severe case of death, and the common denominator, they all took that hot shot. All right. But as we move on, like I said, Karima and myself, we gave you all just these last 2 episodes. There'll be some high-powered information about mind control, mind bending. Hey, at the same time, if you're paying attention also, this whole automation thing. Okay, hold on for a second. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, I'm back. Now, this whole automation era that we're going into. Now, a prospected $60,000 jobs about to be supposedly lost through this automation thing. So you got to ask yourself, all right, are these people trying to bring into fruition? Because don't forget now, you had Bill Gates give a speech some time ago about wanting to reduce the population to no more than about 500 million people on the earth, but they think the earth, according to them, the earth is overpopulated. And don't forget, he said in that speech, but if we introduce some vaccines and different kinds of, perhaps different types of other additives that could reduce the population. And you have people there clapping for this idiot. When he's talking about, when you listen to it in brass tacks terms, about killing people. Who the hell? Because the question becomes, who in the hell died and made him God and whoever else is in their bunch, who died and made them God where they feel that the earth is overcrowded or overpopulated? How they make that determination when here it is, the main check and balance to make sure there's never an overpopulation of humanity is the life and death cycle. Last I looked. But this bozo gave that speech some years ago, and now here it is, all these years later, certain viruses and certain potions and serums and vaccines have been introduced to the people, and people be just, and I won't say it's the hot shot, but like I said, people in my personal circle, I've been watching dropping like flies. And I would always, and I'm always asking casually, hey, were they vaccinated? Yeah, they were. Okay. Look, man, sometimes I can't say the direct quote, but as Leonard Nimoy's incarnation of Mr. Spock would say, paraphrased, the one thing you may think isn't the probability of an issue is usually always that probability and should not be ignored. Getting past to cut through all the fancy talk, simply put, make the connection. The same person that was given a speech about the earth being overpopulated, and if we reduce it to 500 million people, well, that could be manageable. It could be manageable. Who's doing the managing? Well, and we introduce some vaccines and different, serums or whatever to the populace. We can bring about that reduction. And here it is, all these years later. Who owns the majority of the farmland in this country? Yeah, Bill Gates and company. Who's out here thus buying up all the land in all the southern Midwestern towns from an agricultural standpoint? That's right, Bill Gates and company. Then you got Blackstone and BlackRock buying up all the real estate in the majority of the cities, developing houses that they don't want you to buy. No, you can rent. And now, coming into play, oh yeah, the firing of many, many people. Now, I can say that there's some of them who need to be fired, who need to be given their humbling experience. Well, I'm gonna say to some of them, like just like when I got my humbling experience, and another rhyme and reason, but that's another story. But now, a great many of them who sit on their high horse, especially you former IRS workers, oh man, oh, how does it feel? Welcome to your humbling experience, y'all. How does it feel? Not a good feeling now, is it? But moving on. All right, getting back on track. The firing of all these people, but yet all this automation continues to come into play. All this AI. Now, look, I've been doing my reading up on AI and everything. I'm not the most technologically sound individual. I've been trying to get my feet wet and my acumen up, but still, all this technological terror, and I'm using the word terror, that's been developing. Because see, when something is being developed to take your place, take your job, that's not a good thing. That's a terror. That's a terror. Because now it becomes a question of, okay, well, all right, if people don't have money to spend, Jeff Bezos and those of you out there, then how you going to make your money? Unless, of course, they have other lock-ins on the reset, their reset of all things in the area of money and accountancy. But where am I going with this, y'all? You know how they say art imitates life? And we're seeing if you've been paying attention, you're seeing not only the AI, but all this automated potential robot dogs, robot police dogs, and other things that they're developing. Now, some of you may say, oh, here you go with the conspiracy theories. Oh, Malachi, you're reaching. But let me remind you all, let's not forget, for those of us who go back that far, there were a great many of us sitting in movie theaters all throughout the world when we were all 16, 17, whatever age, 16, 17 years old, whatever, in your teenage years, for those of us who could go to the movies at the time, and we were watching a movie. We got introduced to a movie that opened up in the year 2029. Okay? And then we got a writing about the Earth, nuclear holocaust, things went awry, the rise of the machine, a savior was born, JC, John Connor, and his battle to live would be taken back to 1984. That's right, the Terminator. See, we only, 4 years out? And look at all this AI. Look at all this automation. Look at all the RoboCop and robot dogs that we're seeing in prototype. Then they showed you, if you're on the internet and not just watching porn, if you're looking at some of the projects where they have machines in play, carrying guns. That's right. See? The Terminator. Sending out, well, if human soldiers rebel against us, we'll send out these programmed AI, and we'll send them to do the job. You see how art imitates life? You see how if you're not paying attention and you let things just go, they just sneak up on you? That's where we're at, y'all. That is where we're at. It's not a joke or a game. The Lord said it was going to be this way. Because see, you better believe these Hitlerians They know that they're going to be a great many soldiers who are not going to go for that. You're not going to put them out here in these streets to shoot down their neighbor, their friends. Even some of these foreign soldiers that they transported over here are seeing they don't want no parts of this. They don't want that. You're going to shoot and kill someone because they're hungry. This is what we're dealing with, y'all. We're not going to make it pretty here tonight. You need medical attention, and they'll gun you down if you come trying to demand it. But you should get it, though, in the land of the free. These are all the possibilities. I'm not saying, let me use the word possibilities that could transpire. But look at all the lawlessness among so-called law enforcement now. Huh? So don't tell me it's not possible. When we've been seeing people out here who will be law enforcement gunning down unarmed citizens and don't know jack about the laws they're supposed to be enforcing. Now tell me I'm wrong. You can't. Because you know why? I'm right. You can't get no more right than what we bring here. And so now, this is why the Lord is making his directive now. Because look, just like the days of Nimrod, Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, what have you, and others, there are those among humanity, or so-called humanity, if you want to call them human, who've gotten too beside themselves. And now they're in a desperate need of a humbling experience and a conquering and sit down and let a new administration take over. And we need him, and that's what we need now. If indeed there is a God, if there is indeed a God of Israel, if there's indeed a divine hand about to bring judgment, this is now the perfect time to bring it. Because I am sick of these people. Some of y'all want to talk about black fatigue? Well, we got, tyrant fatigue. We have tyrant fatigue. We have, you still think you are a slave owner. We have megalomaniac fatigue. We tired of some of y'all thinking y'all gods. Because we're not going back to the days of, yes, boss, I was a good nigga, boss. See, that's another reason why they're actually cutting cutting these SNAP benefits too. They want to force some of y'all back out there on them fields. See, when they're getting rid of all these illegal migrants, right? There are a lot of farmers out here in America who are suffering right now because they don't have nobody to pick the crops and pick anything right now. And they thought there was some fools who thought that black folk was gonna get back out there and them out there on them fields and pick their cotton, tobacco, or whatever no. Mm-mm. So I imagine that these fools have had a brainstorm. So they already have their think tanks. So let's say come Friday, you got it's gonna be a lot of action. But hey, listen, we got a solution to the problem. If you want to eat, look, we got these jobs out. I'm just saying, if I was a devious, underhanded, sneaky psychopath, a sociopath, and I want to try to find a way to worm people to bend into my will, well, cutting off. And if I think I can get away with it, well, I'll shut down your water. I'll shut down your agriculture and your food. I'll take away your money, and then I'll offer you a job. I mean, come on, it's temporary. You know how that go. It starts off temporary and then becomes permanent. And then if you don't want to comply with the program, if you don't want to get down, well, okay, we're gonna lay you down. As I said, we've given you presentation after presentation showing in their own words things that they were saying, speaking in code, but we've been here deciphering it for you. So it's been a long time coming, but you reap what you sow, and what you sow, what you reap, and there's about to be an eruption and uproar of a great many people out here in America. Okay, this is bad. You know, I'm sorry that I'm not in any position where I can help some of you are true believers and listeners out here, but this is where we all have to fight for our own salvation until the divine hand of the Lord steps in. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut it short tonight, y'all. I think we're giving you enough. We're gonna come back tomorrow night a little bit stronger. But with the storm system knocking everything out, we can't really bring up what we want to bring up. Okay. We're gonna just give you we're gonna relaunch the Never Gone but Never Forgotten series. And I really would like to do a redux on remembering James and Mtume, but we're gonna continue that at another time. Because again, with all these storm systems and all the technical difficulties, or maybe, just maybe, some deliberate interference, because it's not like we not under fire. People watching us. I won't pretend that we're not under fire. And there's certain forces that have been messing with our algorithm for a hot minute. So, but still, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it short for tonight. We didn't give y'all some good 4-hour joints, but we're going to cut it short. And we want you to take into careful consideration what we've given you thus far. I'm going to come back along with the seventh answer. We're going to come back and give you some more rock'em sock'em, boom boom pow, facts and truths. And we want you to get up off your duffs, as always, to check things out for yourself. Because now more than ever, real talk, no jokes, your life depends upon it. So, seventh answer, as we close out, do you have any parting shots?
No, not at the moment. I got the reboot.
All right. Well, listen, we had a launch of, again, the Never Forgotten series, which kind of landed flat, unfortunately, because of all this, quirky weather and everything going on. Hell, even in my neck of the woods right now, it's cold out here. It's cold. An unusual cold, too. But we thank you for allowing us to come into your mind, soul, and cipher. This has been another episode of The Conversation Continues. And we're your host, the seventh answer, Lady Karima, along with your brother Dark Storm. We'll be right back at you, Lord willing. And we're going to bring heat. We're going to bring non-stop facts and information. But above all, we're going to continue to say non-stop. We want you to get up off your duffs and check things out for yourself. Bear down, brace yourself, stay prayed up. And that's all we can give you at this point in juncture. And again, we give an honor to the Lord of Christ, from whom all positive thoughts flow. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button. And as always, as we part, we always say in the spirit of the one and only Mr. Don Cornelius. Shalom, as we hope these presentations bring you peace. Aha, because all we do for you is a labor of love and the posh. We hope that the realities that we bring to you all will bring some comfort and solace to your soul. And we are up out of here. Peace.